Did you know that one simple act of kindness could completely transform your spiritual journey? Today, I'm sharing an ancient Buddhist story about feeding bread to a dog that reveals 8 profound benefits you never imagined. This isn't just about compassion, it's about unlocking hidden spiritual powers that most people miss entirely. Picture this: a wealthy merchant walking through his city, carrying fresh bread for his family's dinner. As he passes a narrow alley, he spots a starving dog, ribs showing, eyes pleading, barely able to stand. Most people would hurry past, maybe feel a moment of sympathy, then forget about it completely. But this merchant does something different. He breaks his bread in half and places it gently before the trembling animal. What happens next will challenge everything you think you know about karma and spiritual development. Because, according to Buddhist teachings, this one moment of generosity creates ripple effects that extend far beyond what our limited human perception can grasp. Let me tell you about the 8 extraordinary benefits that Buddhist masters say come from this simple act of feeding bread to a dog. These aren't just feel-good platitudes. They're spiritual principles that have been tested and proven over thousands of years. The first benefit is the immediate purification of negative karma. When you feed a hungry animal, especially one as loyal and innocent as a dog, you're actively counteracting past harmful actions. Buddhist philosophy teaches that every act of genuine compassion burns away layers of karmic debt that might otherwise take lifetimes to resolve. It's like having a spiritual reset button that most people don't even know exists. The second benefit involves attracting abundance into your life. This might sound counterintuitive. How does giving away food bring you more? But the universe operates on principles of reciprocity that go far deeper than simple economics. When you demonstrate genuine care for a creature that cannot repay you, you're signaling to the cosmos that you understand true abundance isn't about hoarding resources, but about generous circulation of energy and blessings. The third benefit is the development of what Buddhists call metta-loving kindness that extends beyond human relationships. Most people limit their compassion to family, friends, maybe their community. But when you feel genuine care for a suffering animal, you're expanding your heart's capacity in ways that transform how you interact with everyone and everything around you. It's like upgrading your spiritual operating system. Here's where it gets really interesting. The fourth benefit relates to protection from harm. Buddhist teachings explain that animals, especially dogs, have heightened spiritual sensitivity. When you show kindness to a dog, you're not just helping one creature, you're connecting with the entire animal kingdom's collective consciousness. This creates a protective field around you that most people would dismiss as superstition. But countless practitioners have experienced this protection in tangible ways. The fifth benefit involves attracting faithful friends and supporters into your life. Dogs are universal symbols of loyalty and devotion. When you demonstrate care for a dog, particularly through the fundamental act of providing food, you're essentially programming the universe to send you relationships characterized by those same qualities. It's like putting out a cosmic advertisement for genuine, loyal connections. The sixth benefit is the cultivation of mindfulness and presence. Think about what happens when you stop to feed a hungry dog. You have to slow down, pay attention, be fully present with another living being's immediate needs. In our frantically busy world, these moments of genuine presence are becoming increasingly rare and precious. Each time you choose compassion over convenience, you're strengthening your ability to be truly present, a skill that transforms everything else in your life. The seventh benefit involves what Buddhist masters call merit accumulation. This isn't about collecting spiritual gold stars. It's about building positive momentum that carries over into future experiences and even future lifetimes. Every act of selfless kindness creates what you might think of as deposits in your cosmic bank account, generating interest that compounds over time in ways you cannot possibly predict or control. But the eighth benefit is perhaps the most profound: the dissolution of the artificial boundaries between self and other. When you feel genuine compassion for a suffering animal, something miraculous happens in your consciousness. For just a moment, you transcend the illusion of separation that normally dominates human thinking. You experience what Buddhist philosophy calls interdependence, the recognition that all beings are fundamentally connected. Now, you might be wondering why bread specifically matters in this teaching. Bread represents the most basic form of sustenance across cultures throughout history. It symbolizes life itself, the fundamental energy that keeps us alive. When you share bread with a hungry creature, you're literally sharing life force. You're acknowledging that all beings deserve to exist, to be nourished, to experience moments of satisfaction and peace. But here's what most people miss entirely. The dog in this story isn't just any dog. In Buddhist symbolism, the hungry dog often represents aspects of ourselves that we've neglected or rejected. It's the part of us that feels abandoned, desperate, unworthy of love or care. When you feed the external dog, you're simultaneously nourishing those abandoned parts of your own soul. This is why the simple act creates such profound transformation. You're not just helping another being, your healing splits off fragments of your own consciousness. You're practicing the kind of unconditional love that most humans struggle to show even to themselves. The merchant in our story doesn't know any of this philosophy. He simply sees suffering and responds with instinctive kindness. But according to Buddhist teaching, his spontaneous compassion sets in motion forces that will transform his entire life's trajectory. He will experience unexpected opportunities, form deeper relationships, develop greater wisdom, and ultimately progress further on his spiritual path than years of formal meditation practice might have provided. This brings us to a crucial point that modern spirituality often overlooks. While meditation, prayer, and study are valuable practices, nothing accelerates spiritual development quite like spontaneous acts of genuine compassion. When you respond to immediate suffering with immediate kindness, you bypass the analytical mind that usually sabotages our best intentions. The bread you share doesn't have to be expensive or elaborate. It can be leftover crusts, dialed rolls, simple sustenance that costs you almost nothing materially, but creates immeasurable spiritual wealth. What matters isn't the quantity or quality of what you give, but the quality of attention and care you bring to the giving. Consider how this principle applies to modern life. How often do we walk past opportunities for simple kindness because we're too busy, too distracted, too caught up in our own concerns? Every homeless person, every stray animal, every lonely neighbor represents a chance to practice the same spiritual principle that transforms the merchant's life. The beautiful thing about feeding bread to a dog is that it requires no special knowledge, no religious training, no expensive equipment, or formal initiation. Any person, anywhere, can practice this kind of compassion. The barrier isn't external. It's the internal resistance that convinces us our small acts don't matter, that we don't have time, that someone else will handle it. But Buddhist wisdom insists that these seemingly insignificant moments are precisely where spiritual breakthrough happens. Not in grand gestures or dramatic revelations, but in quiet choices to respond to suffering with kindness rather than indifference. As our story concludes, remember that every day presents multiple opportunities to experience these 8 benefits for yourself. The next time you see a hungry animal, a suffering person, any being in need of basic care, you hold in your hands the same choice that faced the merchant. You can hurry past, absorbed in your own concerns, or you can pause. Break whatever bread you carry literally or metaphorically, and discover firsthand the transformative power of spontaneous compassion. The dog doesn't care about your theology or spiritual credentials. The universe doesn't require you to understand the complex mechanics of karma and merit. What matters is the simple recognition that suffering calls for response, that kindness creates more kindness, and that small acts of love generate ripple effects far beyond our capacity to track or measure. This ancient Buddhist wisdom offers us a revolutionary idea. Spiritual development isn't primarily about what we achieve for ourselves, but about how naturally and spontaneously we respond to opportunities for kindness. The 8 benefits of feeding bread to a dog aren't rewards we earn through calculation, but natural consequences of living with an open, generous heart. So the next time you find yourself walking down any street carrying any form of sustenance, remember the merchant and his choice. Remember that spiritual transformation often comes disguised as ordinary moments requiring nothing more than basic human decency. Remember that the universe is constantly offering us chances to practice the kind of love that heals both giver and receiver simultaneously. Your bread, your moment, your choice to respond to suffering with kindness. These simple elements contain all the spiritual technology you need to transform your life and contribute to the healing of our world.